On Tuesday, you guys started to dig into your first TRF or tutorial request form. And I asked you to make a copy of this particular document. It was posted in Moodle. So if you haven't done that, time out, go back. And I asked you to start here. There's lots of good information above there, but I asked you to start here to pick something from a class and write a question down for that class. And then I asked you to kind of process through these next couple pieces. What's some key vocab that you need, right? If my question is, what is the structure of an atom? Some vocab might be, what's an atom? What's a proton? What's a neutron? What's a nucleus? Okay. And then some things you know. Oh, I know that the nucleus, Maybe your question is something to do with social studies. Maybe the question is, what are the 5 world religions? That's something you're studying. What are some things I know? I know Christianity, I know Islam, I know Buddhism, I know Hinduism, and I know Judaism, right? And maybe you know all those things. And then what are the vocab with that? What is monotheistic, polytheistic, any of those key vocab? And what do you know? That's what I asked you to do. Now we're going to look at the second half, and we're just dabbling. We're just dipping our feet in, right? Next week, we will go off the diving board on tutorials. But this week, we're just prancing around the edge, right? We're like that little kid at swimming lessons who's not quite sure if they want to go all the way in. So some critical thinking about the initial question. That's what we're going to start kind of working on today, right? And critical thinking looks different for different types of questions. For example, in a math question, it might be you solving. In a physics question, if there's an equation, it might be you solving. But if it's something else for you, it's a little bit more of you're trying to get a good conceptual understanding so you can answer a question. Maybe it's an essay question. We might want a way to organize our thoughts. Okay? So after we do that, then we'll come up with our actual tutorial question. You're going to find your point of confusion, and then you're going to come up with what's the question that you want addressed in your tutorial. So a little bit different language, right? We need a way to organize our thoughts. We need a way to help ourselves get our ideas from here into that spot. It doesn't just occur quickly all the time. Sometimes we got to organize them. We got to move stuff around. We got to blah, blah, blah. And if you're working on it from a computer, it's going to be a little bit trickier. But no matter where you're working on it, we can use various graphic organizers, right? So down here, as you scroll, and what I recommend you do right now, so you've been listening, you're a rock star, a great person, you're loving life, make sure you have your copy of this document open, because in a little bit, I'm going to ask you to take one of these and play with it, okay? So here's the first one. It says descriptive bubble. I love calling this a mind map. This is a great one when you have to organize thoughts around a main idea. Here's my main idea, and on the sides, that's where I'm going to take my deep dive into some other key pieces of information, right? Chronological. Oh my gosh, how fun would this been to organize our Uno stuff? Topic, how do I play Uno? First, I deal the cards. Then I flip the top card up. Then the person to the left of the dealer starts. Oh, but unless we had all those other pieces. Chronological, great for history when you're looking at events sequentially. Kind of great for math too. What do I do first to solve this problem? What do I do next to solve this problem? Right? Anytime when we're working with that. Next is how can I analyze, right? Examine, really dig into something and look for patterns and structure, errors, and all sorts of things. So sometimes we're going to start with all of these little ideas, and they will notice how those arrows are going to that main idea. How can we put those together to come up with a main idea? Okay. Claim and evidence. You will do proofs in geometry. This is what you're doing. You've got a given and a prove, and you're going to come up with your key statements and your key reasons. Claim, evidence, statements, reasons. We will live in that one for geometry. Okay. Evaluate and test. Compare and contrast bubbles. Kind of crazy to call it that. We all have heard that called a Venn diagram. But what do this bubble and this bubble have common? Think back to Uno. What does Uno have in common with the game Spoons? What does Uno have in common with a game, what's another great game? Phase 10 maybe, right? What do they have in common? But also, what is different? It's important to recognize some of those differences too, because that really helps us understand both. Look at this mind map. This is a mind map, crazy. But again, we can compare and contrast. Maybe one Uno goes here. Spoons maybe goes over here. If you haven't played Spoons, it's a good time. And then some of these where they're connected, what do they have in common? And then over here, What do they have different? Very different way of looking at that, right? Okay, so that green kind of giant spiderweb looking map, that's like a Venn diagram on steroids. Cause and effect. Oh my gosh, I am sure that like social studies teachers everywhere love this one. What are the causes of the American Revolution? What were the effects? What were the causes of the Civil War? What were the effects? What are the causes of the Roman Empire, right? I'm sure you're going to learn about that later this year. There's so many good things that we can look at the causes of and the effects of. Ooh, this is kind of a cool little chain. My problem. What's my problem? That sounds terrible. My problem might be that I have to solve this. I think that they're equal. I'm going to try it. I found out weren't equal. What should I do? Oh, I'm going to try this again, but now not equal, they're supplementary, right? And then this is kind of where we're coming up with a bunch of ideas. We got maybe 4 key ideas of stuff we learned about, one for each of those light purple boxes, and they all flow into the big purple box. Concept wheel, mandala, all of those are just kind of that, what's the central idea? What are the key pieces around it? Underneath, puzzle piece organizer, kind of a neat way of pulling things together. Reminds me a little bit of like a traffic exchange down in the cities or something, but another way to organize it. So lots of great ways to organize your thinking, right? And part of the work that you do in the back side of your TRF is how can you think about this question you have so that you can really understand, where am I stuck? You probably aren't stuck on the initial question. There's a specific place that you're stuck in. That's what we want to get solved with our tutorial. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk you through a couple of these in a little bit more depth. So let's kind of switch gears here a little bit. In the meantime, you keep watching and start thinking about what one could I practice with, because that's going to be your job for today, is to practice with one of these.